Well, g'day. It's May Day, not one of those sort of May days. In fact, we've been very lucky, touch wood. We haven't had any at all. And we've only got two boats left to go. So that's kind of fun. In fact, Jane and I have been talking about a few different things with Ada and the team and bits. By comparison to the Golden Globe race, the Ocean Globe race is very much more serene. Boats are more powerful. You've got crews on the boat. So when there's a problem, you've got various people that can get involved pretty quickly to sort of solve those problems and keep the boats moving and so on. And also the weather has been, as we all know, slightly crazy, but incredibly good in the Southern Ocean. We had a big chat about that with some of the entrants on their, sort of wrap-up parties here and stuff, and people talking about the next edition. Just how lucky we were. We say lucky with a pinch of salt, because some people were really looking for the huge Southern Ocean experience and all those things that go with it. And it didn't really happen to a degree. The weather was pretty benign. Most of the boats got there. It was like a mandatory Cape Horn storm to give them that experience, but generally the weather through the Southern Ocean was pretty straightforward. So that's kind of nice. And I basically, at numerous briefings to all the fleet when we took off, that 2 weeks before we took off, I said, look, you're all going to probably get knocked down at least once. And I said to our guys on Explorer, I said, look, you will go down. There's no question. When I say down, the mast actually in the water. There were quite a few of the boats actually had knockdowns, maybe even level with the water, but there was only one occasion, or maybe two, where a boat had their mast actually underwater. So it was kind of cool. And I just did some modifications again already today for the notice of race. We just rejigged, we dropped the price a bit on the adventure class entry fee and sponsorship supplement, and we tried to define very clearly what's a commercial entry versus non-commercial entry, because a commercial entry in the OGR has to pay the sponsorship supplement because they're basically getting a commercial benefit from being involved in the OGR. So it's like being sponsored. Anyone that sponsors pays effectively a double entry fee. The second entry fee is because their sponsors are getting a benefit, and the entry fees are a big part of the cost of running the race. So that's how we balance it out. And those are the Corinthian. If they're not sponsored or they're not commercial, then they get a lower entry fee. And we brought up the idea of the points-based system. So that'll change the potential, the way the winner of the OGR may evolve to winning the OGR. And to give you a brief example, you saw what happened to Triana, where they were going into the leg 3 in a commanding lead, and if they had done a similar performance, they would have knocked it off, and they got dealt pretty bad cards with the weather, like many of the boats. And that's yacht racing. No one's complaining, and even Jean wasn't complaining on Triana. He knows that you can't always get good weather all the way around, or favourable racing weather. Some did better than others, but in other legs they got a really good deal and others got a bad deal. But if that happens and someone's performing really well for all for the 3 legs or something, or has one really bad leg, it may not knock them out of contention for the whole lot. So it's a very simple process, and that's now explained in the notice of race. And we will be having various things that will be changing leading up to the issuing of the notice of race later this year. So whilst it's all winding down, there's a lot of winding up, with 27. It's quite a lot of fun stuff going on in the background. And in the meantime, I'm also getting ready we're working on the Golden Globe race. That's coming. That's in 2026. So we've got quite a few things going on there now as well. And then more importantly, the Mini Globe race. We've got talking to more of the entrants and just establishing all the ports, and we've got a lot of things to do there as well. So don't think we're sitting around here having a big holiday, although yesterday I didn't do much. The sun was shining, there was no wind, and we took off on Mona the Rib, go for a bit of a jolly, which was kind of fun. What news can I tell you beyond Explorer and Translated, which we'll go in a minute. But Sterner is still here. just doing a big deep clean and sorting out the rig and so on. They're going to leave on the weekend. And Outlaw's still here, and others have got home. I think Tapio's just about home now. So yeah, everything's settling down. Let's go and have a quick look at Explorer and also Translated 9. You've got the tracker there, so now I'm getting on the tracker. I didn't do the tracker update yesterday, of course, because this will only be every other day because there's only 2 boats. So the next one will be on Thursday, just before Translated 9 gets in. So we should have their 12 o'clock position. Yep, there it is. So whether everything for Translated 9 is looking particularly good right now. I'll just squeak this up here so we can get a bigger map. Yeah, they screamed across Bay of Biscay in perfect conditions with the wind on the beam, and it's going to slowly go around behind the beam, I suppose. But they've been flying. They're currently doing 8.4. They did a 199-mile day. Jeepers, I hope they slow down a bit because there's only 300 miles left. So this time tomorrow, if they did the same sort of thing, and it looks like they're going to slow down, but if they did, they could come in at sometime on Thursday night. We don't want that. We like our sleep now. We're getting lazy. We are quite happy to receive them on Friday morning, and I hope that's what happens. But yeah, they're flying. And Explorer, they're coming into some strange weather again, but they're still, at least they're sailing with the wind forward of the beam and trying to point direct to the finish line, doing 6.4 knots, 149 nautical mile a day. That's a big one compared to what they've had in the last few weeks, but it's starting to get very confusing for them going forward, and I'll explain that right now. So they've got 1,169 miles to go. And normally I say that's a week for 1,000 miles, and that'd be another day. So it'd be about 8 days from now. And it's currently the 1st of May, Labor Day. So, yeah, that'd put them in on the 9th. That's exactly when we finish our accommodation here. And we may have to go immediately back to France. So that could be interesting. We've been postponing a lot of things, but we've got some commitments there now. So we'll see how that pans out. So weather-wise, let's just click this through and we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. Nothing much happening in front of Explorer. And I think Translated have certainly got breeze. This is going into the 2nd, early morning on the 2nd. Translated 9, they'll be getting good weather at the moment. They can freely use anything they want. They can have a weather router helping them as well. Explorer, not so much the case. So by the time we get to tomorrow, you can see what's happening here. There's a little bit of hook in the system, which is a combination of a few things. It's going to start to get really messy. You've got a low pressure cell forming here. You've got what was a bit of a high pressure here, and that's getting pushed around a bit. So that was a high pressure that they're going into. And now they've got this following breeze, but they're right on top of headwinds. And by the time this gets here, let's assume they even do 120 miles, they'll be into those headwinds again. And then it's there's 120 miles. So you see they will have ridden through that. So they've got headwinds, and the basis of that tack, you've got port tack, you're going back down south. So they're going to be on starboard tack, and they're not going to be able to make the mark. They'll be heading up somewhere up here. So they're going to not quite make it on the direct run line to the finish. So that's day 1. Not heavy weather, but they'll get a bit of a puff, that's for sure. But it doesn't look like it warrants any. No, it's not a weather alert. So coming forwards, the 1st, 2nd, this is 36 hours out. Then it's going to get all right on the nose. So they're going to be up in here somewhere. It's going to be 15 knots. Right on the nose, and I hazard a guess, I'm not sure what they'll do, but if I was there and I saw this kind of weather, I might be tempted to go on port tack and start getting over towards the run line still, because they seem to always be on the wrong side of the weather here, but they're going to have headwinds. So this is the 2nd day. It's going to slow them right up. So there goes the 8th. You're probably into the 9th already. And then on the 3rd, so Translated 9 will be fine there. They've got light winds, but they'll get the spinnakers up. So when you see that with Translated 9, it looks very clear that they'll arrive sometime on Friday morning. They won't be able to maintain those big speeds unless they decided to motor, which they could do because they're out of the rankings this leg. So a lot of those rules just drop off and go by the way. Explorer, on the other hand, is going to be sitting in very light weather there with all that sort of nothingness sitting there. And it'll be light, frustrating weather because you can see they will, depending on what tack they do, it's another reason, but to be heading in towards the run line, and you've got following breezes, but they wouldn't be able to see this probably. It's a little bit bland. So even on the weather faxes, they're getting weather faxes now. They might not show this cell here, but if they did, then they would understand why it'll be better to be on port tack and be coming across to the other side here. And that's always usually where you get the most breeze coming through here. In fact, if we go boom, boom, you see everyone's been a bit over the place in the past, but this is the favoured side. So let's wait and see where they get to. Pushing through, translated 9 are already in by that stage at a nice breeze. And then hopefully, as I say, Explorer will be down here hooking into this and heading towards the finish on the 4th. That's 3 days from now. And then it keeps rolling. So as long as they can favour the eastern side of the course and not go too far to the north, they should be okay. But even if they get up there, they're going to bounce back. So no definition. But I think that's going to mean they're not going to get here by the 9th, which is a new problem for us. So what may happen for all the Explorer fans that are watching that, if that gets the case, then they may not be coming to Cowes. So don't book any accommodation in Cowes. They may just cross the finish line and go straight to Haslam Marina over in the Hamble. And then we do the champagne and everything over there. Because if it's too late, we may have to clear out with the rib and all the rest of it as well. He's taking too long. So we have our challenges as well, trying to sit tight here and wait. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. They may speed up at the last minute. Okay, so I think that's all I can tell you there. We don't need to look at IRC rankings or anything like that. Nothing I need to tell you. No. So we'll just come back and say good day and then move right along. So, okay, hit this one. We're in another place now. You can see that. We did the big move the other day. And we're still right in Main Street. We're right on Main Street here. If you've ever been to Cowes, it's pretty cool. Nice place here. We really like it, and that may have some ramifications for the Golden Globe race as well as future OGR. We'll just see what levels of support we can find. So, hi, Kaylee. Thanks. G'day, Kathleen. G'day, Mike and Gay. Larry. I've been reading up on the Mini Globe race. It looks quite exciting, Kylie. Yeah, it's going to be quite something, I've got to tell you. Half the world's going to drop dead when they see the headline. 19-foot boats racing around the world, 5.8 metre mini plywood, home-built boats in garages and tents, racing around the world. But it's a special boat and a special event. So stand by for that. Is the prize-giving ceremony open to the public? No, it's not, John. It's in Rome at the Translated campus. It's like their business venue, a few houses on this big acreage right in the middle of Rome. Swimming pool, big wall, video screen, amphitheatre, all that sort of stuff. It's quite a big thing. So it's just for entrance and VIPs and stuff. It's not a public one like we do in the Golden Globe race, but it'll be quite fun, and we will be broadcasting the main parts of it on Facebook Live, so you can follow up from there. Okay, and now so interested in the mini. I've watched a lot of the mini boat builds. Very interesting, yeah. So the Mini Globe race. In fact, on Thursday I might show you a few things about the Mini Globe race. In fact, I could even do it after this. Yeah, I might. So there's only going to be a bit of wobble. So I'll finish this, and then I'll chop over to the Mini Globe race. No, I'll go. Let's get a bit distracting, this OGR. But I could show you. Well, you can go on to the boat is called it's a Globe 580, right? So it's if you go classglobe580.com, you've got the website, and everyone that's building one has to have a website to show you their build process. It's one of the ways we keep an eye on the quality, and it's quite interesting watching them build these boats. Little plywood boats to race around the world. And so we got a couple hundred sets of plans, or 230 or something out builders all around the world. We've got about 90 or 80 or 90 active builders. We've got more and more boats being launched all the time now, and it's an amazing little boat. So you can follow the class there. It's all on Facebook as well, Class Globe 580. You can see it on Facebook. Then the Mini Globe Race has got its own website, minigloberace.com, and you can keep up with it. It's not so active off the website at the moment. Same with the Facebook page, but everything's there you need to know, and you'll see all about it. It's going to be one hell of an adventure. So, so you can follow that. And there's a builders group, and then there's a fan page as well, and so on. Okay, Warren. G'day, Annie. You are waiting until arrival exploring? Maybe. We've got a couple of serious appointments on the 14th. We've got to get things back. We've delayed one big one already, and we may have to go on the 9th, but we'll wait and see. Originally, we're going to go and then come back, but then translated here, so we decided to stay, and we'll see. But we'll be back soon. Is Sterner's sell in the UK or back to South Africa? They're taking the boat to France. Okay, and it'll be staying in France for a while. So, and until it sells, sort of thing. I don't think they'll sail it back to South Africa at all. So she'll be based in France. The team's sailing across on the weekend, and they're coming back here to meet up with Translated when they come. So they're going to be back here on Friday. So we'll have one other boat here, and we'll all have a bit of a hoo-ha when they arrive, which will be fantastic. So Sterner's there, and Sterner's for sale, as is Outlaw, as is Heap of Translators for sale, White Shadows for sale, Sterner's for sale, Outlaw's for sale. Who else? Phew. Anyway, there's lots of them. We have a forum. We have a forum on the Ocean Globe Race, and I'm telling all the owners of those boats to get their act together and put it on the forum. And we'll be directing people to the OGR forum to get information and contact details for the people that are selling the boat, per se. Warren, maybe Ada could get a berth on the return trip to France to explore. Yep, she's a budding sailor, but she's as busy as everyone, you know. She's just going all over the place. A quick trip back to France again. She did one the other day, and now she's going back again, but she's coming back for Translated 9. I told her it didn't need to be here because we can get by, you know, with this one, but she wants to come back to be here when Translated arrives. So quick trip there. She's on the plane now, I think. G'day, Francis. Yeah, I'm glad you're all looking forward to the Mini. It's going to be awesome. It's not going to be as intense as what the Gold Globe and the Ocean Globe is, doing all these daily updates and so on. I think I've mentioned that before, but there will be regular communications on social media, and there is no restrictions for the entrance. In other words, Ayrton Bescardis, who is a great mate of ours, he's got my boat, Trekker, for the Mini Globe Race. He's an ex-Gold Globe Race sailor. He's actually going to put a Starlink on his boat, and others can use satellite phones. They can post anything on social media. So you can follow the event through us, and we'll do the tracker updates at least one a week, probably twice a week, because the event goes for 13 months. It's going to take 13 months to sailing around the world. The individual entrants, you can pick your favourites, and they could be posting and doing all sorts of stuff. But they'll be going amazing place in the world, huge challenges, an incredible journey, and it'll really surprise a lot of people, and they're great boats. So, Dan Turner, go, Mike. Dan's a classic. He's from South Australia. We've got a heap of Australians involved in this. I think there could be 4 entrants from Australia in the Mini Globe Race. We've got 18 are trying right now, and I think we could see 14 starters. So one of them is a father and son team. They're plan number 99 and 100. And so father and son are building a boat each, and they're just about to launch in the next few weeks, do their trials there. Dan's already in the water now, and there's maybe one other or something, and then they'll look at shipping across, and shipping to Spain, because you've got a transatlantic race before the Mini Globe Race. So the Globe 580, the Transat, the Mini Transat in the 580, starts on December the 28th this year, sailing to Lanzarote and then over to Antigua. So plenty going on. I'd love to see some more about the Mini. Okay. Well, everyone can sign off in a minute, and I'll leave the live on. and I'll open up the website and show you a bit about it. Seeing we've only got 2 boats out there. That's for Kylie. You mentioned that the next OGR needs sponsorship. What levels are you talking about? Do you need someone to manage it? Yeah, there's potentially. It's funny. We don't talk publicly about a lot of stuff, but what I can tell you is that we received very little sponsorship for this edition of the OGR, and we could spend many, many millions on the race. And in fact, there's 2 ways to look at this. There is what we believe is the correct amount of money to optimize the event. In other words, you'll get a amount of money. I'm not going to say what it is. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8 million euro. Okay, and you can absolutely utilize those funds to optimize all these other things that we want to do, like an educational program, really good audio visuals and great outreach programs, sustainability, but more importantly, getting the word out on what's happening. Have bigger events in the ports to get more locals involved, and so you're expanding the inspiration that the event can give. As you know, there's huge stories everywhere. And then after that, you can keep going, because if you've got more money, you can do more media production and distribution. We've got a network all set to go to distribute all of the media, and by that I mean documentaries and sort of different vignettes and video news releases and all sorts of stuff that we can do on individual boats and each leg and so on to 135 countries around the world. 135 countries and networks all around the world, which is just huge. But you got to spend. I mean, media production and distribution. Our budget there, our target budget is €3.5 million. We would love to raise €3.5 million just to do that package. Boom, and that gives you, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of guaranteed exposure. And when you've got that, that's what you're giving the sponsor straight away, without talking about any news or social media or anything like that. So it's quite an involved process, and we don't go into how much we're asking and things like that, because at the end of the day, we run our events very efficiently, and we get huge bang for buck. Huge bang for buck in terms of our events are pretty unique, but obviously money, increased exposure. It's a whole story. I can keep going on about it, but we have some people helping us for finding sponsors. We do use all our connections and people coming to us, but it's a big subject. So on all our events, on the Golden Globe race and the Ocean Globe race, we're out to secure sponsorship, and if we do, then I can have a bigger team, and then I can sail on a boat in the next race. So that'll be cool. But when you say do you need someone to manage it, we have, we target people rather than, if we are looking for people to join the team, you'll hear about it, and then we take applications and so on. But it's very rare because we, as I say, we go and select people that we know that are there. We going slow here. I digress. Anyway, thanks Francis. Mike, g'day Mike. There's smaller versions of sponsorship too. We have target suppliers, fishing suppliers and stuff. It's name your own level, I suppose, depending on your rate of return, your return on investment. Sui, thanks for that. When will the YB tracker stop tracking? Once Explorer's in, that'll be the last boat, so then we shut it down. But everything is there historically, so you can go back to the tracker and any of the legs, and you can video replay them. So all the data's there. You just won't get the weather, right? You won't get the windy overlay, but you can pick leg 1, leg 2, and so on. But the more importantly, and we've been on the Bayonet platform, everything is there, and then you get the weather. So if you want to just sit down and review everything associated with the Ocean Globe race, you can get on the Bayonet platform, and you don't have to go to the SoundCloud calls or go to the video clips or all the photos or all these different things. It's all there on the one platform, and you can just open them up and close them down wherever you want, anywhere along the course, and you can see where they were at particular days and so on. It's actually quite an amazing setup. This was the first time it was ever done. We worked on it a bit. It seemed to work pretty well, but some people were a bit hesitant on it. But it was good to play with it, and we'll work on that even more going forward, just to get it to a point where we're really comfortable in it, and it's very user friendly. So Okay, where can we follow your updates for the Mini Globe Race? Okay, so two things. The tracker will be on the miniglobe-race.com website when it's happening, and it's exactly the same scenario as OGR in terms of where you go, because we have a Mini Globe Race Facebook page as well, which is not super active at the moment because we've been busy with OGR, but you'll see more and more posts coming up on Facebook and the Mini Globe YouTube channel. Okay, so at the moment, the key contacts you need to think of is website for the boat, which is fascinating to see them build it, is classglobe580.com. So classglobe580, all one section.com. That's the learn about the boat. Then for each of the events, they've got their own website. So it's miniglobe-race.com. There's the globe580transat.com. That's the transatlantic race. And that's about it. Or the YouTube channel, the whole bit. Very similar to this, but just a different event. So, thanks, Francis. Yeah. Okay. They are very similar websites, which makes it easy for us to switch over. Yeah, well, Rob Havel does he's our digital director, digital manager. So they're all very similar. It's exactly right. We've kept the design elements and the how to do it thing similar, so you can move straight from Ocean Globe Race into Golden Globe Race, and you know exactly what's going on. You know where to go, what to look at. And the Mini Globe Race is the same. And we've got our own personal website, or McIntyreAdventure.com, and that's where we put all our stuff. And that's a bit of overview of everything. There's a lot of history there about us and the things we've been involved with in the past. And that's where we'll have our two boats. Okay, so Explorer will do the OGR again, just to prove she can go a lot faster. Okay, so I'll guarantee you, well, touch wood, she shouldn't be this slow in the next edition of the OGR. So Explorer will be there, and there'll be crew spots available on Explorer. So all of that will be available on the website, and you'll see the new boat, which is going to be called McIntyre Adventure, which is actually a Baltic 51, same as Scott Bank Finland. And that'll be up within the next week or so, certainly before, within the next week or so, we'll break the news. In fact, we'll do it before Explorer finishes. We'll show you the new boat. And the plans for that is that Jane and I will be sailing that this year and next year in the Med. The boat's going to be based in the Med. Explorer's going to France, and it'll be on the hard while it's serviced and set up ready for the next one. But we'll be doing all the crew training on McIntyre Adventure, which is our new Baltic. That'll happen. So if you apply to become crew on either of the boats, what you'll do is you'll pay your deposit to come on board, to be one of the crew members. Fill out all your forms. There's lots of stuff there, and then there'll be a mandatory 1-week training session, which will be on the Baltic, on McIntyre Adventure, in the Med. We'll get groups of 6 or 7 on the boat with me and one other, and we put you through your paces, okay, for seeing how compatible you are, get to know you, see who everything is and how it all works. And if you pass the grade on that, then you're in. If we don't think it's appropriate, we might give the crew some advice and say, look, you're not quite up to it yet, but if you go and do this and that, you may be okay to join us. And we hold off and give them the chance to do that. If that doesn't work, we give them their deposit back and say, look, sorry, it's not right for you on Explorer or on McIntyre Adventure. And the difference with both boats will be different. Explorer will be the adventure, get around, have fun type boat. And the Baltic 51 is an absolute performance boat. We will go racing sails. We'll be looking very carefully at weight, optimizing IRC, all these different sorts of things, because I think... in fact, Triana pretty much showed also that if you do it right, and I'm not saying we're going to do it like Triana, but they showed clearly that a smaller boat has a real chance of knocking off the race. And that goes back even to the Whitbread days with IOR. Various analysis were done on that. I've said this before, you might be getting it again if you're a regular viewer. But they came to the conclusion that the 53-footer was going to be one of the best places to be to take out the IOR ranking winner of the Whitbreads, and I've got a hunch that might hold true for the OGR as well. However, Translated 9 were doing pretty well, but there was some discussion about their certificates and so on. And there's an interesting one there as well, which I don't know whether I've talked about this or not. I'm waffling on here because we've got quite a few people watching, but we haven't got boats to talk about, so what the hell? I think most people know that you could either get one of two types of IRC certificates in the OGR. One of them was what we call just a fully endorsed certificate. You got to pay $2.5 grand or something like that, and you have a measurer come down. They measure the boat, they check the sails. You've got to prep the boat to exact situation to get it measured and so on. And then it's like an official document done independently of the owners. Okay, so that's called a fully endorsed IRC certificate. And normally in yacht racing, everyone gets one of those if you're a serious yacht racer. But in the OGR, originally, IRC certificate was optional because we thought people just want to race and just go. But then a lot of them were getting certificates. And we said, oh, bugger it, we're going to have to get everyone on an IRC certificate. And we didn't know a lot about IRC at that stage. So we actually said, okay, if you don't want to go to all the hassle and pay $2.5 grand to get the big fancy IRC certificate, fully endorsed, just go fill out the forms and get yourself a standard production boat IRC form. And the way that works is that if you've got a production boat, someone's before you has put in their boat for measurement and so on and come up with a certificate. So if you've got another boat that's identical to that, then roughly that's what's going to be. And so they allow you as an owner to fill out these forms and just put all the things on your production boat that might be slightly different or slightly worse or better than the average production boat. And then they just do a simple calculation and come back to you and give you a rating certificate. Okay. And so that's what half the fleet did, including Explorer. I mean, ours was all last minute thing. I just get a bloody IRC certificate. It's not a big deal for us. But we got a production boat certificate. It didn't cost much, a few hundred, and it's done. So those that paid for endorsed certificates were a bit miffed that those that had just production boat ones could not be totally correct because they're simpler. And so to give an example, when Jean bought Triana, it had a standard production IRC certificate, okay? And he then went and put a new mast on it, which was 600 kilo lighter, and optimized a whole pile of things. But when he got a fully endorsed and measured certificate, it came out at about you can see it as 1.06 something. So it was a worse certificate. He had to give more time. And that's the one he lodged for the race. Okay. And so what I'm saying here is if he had have actually gone with the original certificate and just filled out the forms, and they would have made some slight minor calculations, but he might have got a certificate that was 1.35 or something. And if he did that and put it in as his certificate, he would have won the race, no question. Everyone's gone backwards. Now, Translated 9 is also a production boat certificate, okay? So you can see what that does. And normally you never race an event with a production boat IRC certificate and a endorsed IRC certificate. Everyone has to have the same deal. So you'll notice in the 2007 edition, 27 edition, everyone's got to get an endorsed certificate because the race got a bit more technical and a bit more competitive than others. So that's a huge difference. But anyway, so McIntyre Adventure, the Baltic 51 that we've got, that will have the endorsed certificate, but we'll look very carefully because you can do certain things legally to optimize your endorsement, your endorsed IRC certificate. So that anyone that's going to sign on a crew on McIntyre Adventure will know that it's a performance-based boat, and anyone on Explorer will know that it's get-home boat, and it's a fantastic boat to be on, very luxurious, lots of space, 10 people. We'll have 10 people on McIntyre Adventure, and it's just two different versions. And Scott Bank of Finland was a previous Whitbread entry. That was a Baltic 51 as well. And we may have 2 or possibly 3 Baltic 51s in the next race, all probably with the same idea. But anyway, because there's been a few for sale, so I won't say any more. Boy, I got a bit sidetracked there. So anyway, yeah, Explorer will be there for the next OGR, and she will be flying at the stage. You probably heard the sound cloud. I asked Explorer, say, has anyone looked over the side and see if you've got barnacles? Because they started with shells on the boat in Punta. No one cleaned them off. But I said, no one's gone over the side and checked. I said, stick a camera over because I've got a hunch they're going to have barnacles all over the hull. We'll see. Okay, that's it. I've been talking too long, so we'll see you on Thursday, which is just before Translated comes in, and we'll give you their ETA at that stage. But I think that'll be sometime on Friday morning. So have a good day for your May Day. Everyone's celebrating days off and stuff.